Good evening, everyone, and welcome to QTV for the webinar on art integration in education. So I am REETIKA Bhandari, HOD Chemistry, Guru Harkrishan Public School, Hemkund Colony from New Delhi, and I have my co-panelist Bhumika Dutt from National Institute of Fashion Technology. And today, both of us will be talking about art integration. I remember the last program in QTV when I attended, and I had a discussion regarding art integration reference to NEP. We had a lot of requests from many people regarding art integration workshop. So here today we are there to solve your queries and talk about art integration. As you know that art is a very important tool, not just because it is there in our curriculum, the NCF 2005, but also a focus on NEP 2020 is on art curriculum. So we need to talk a lot about art. We need to talk about what exactly art means and what is the difference between art education and art integration. Now, when we talk of art education, it's basically learning a art skill. Now, art skill can be a visual art or it could be a performing art. So if suppose a child is learning how to play a flute or learning how to play a violin or maybe learning how to make a painting, that is art education. But when I'm talking about art integration, that means I'm talking about integrating the subject, academic subject with the art. And when we are talking about art integration in our subjects, that means it would be a joyful experience. It would be a wonderful experience for our children to learn. So it would actually enhance the learning process. What we are looking for joyful learning. We are looking for experiential learning. We are looking for various pedagogies where the children are able to understand the concepts. And I think art is the best tool for that purpose because we have to make our classrooms interactive. We have to make our classrooms enjoyable. So that is one very important factor which has to be kept in mind when we are talking about art integration. Now, a very important question comes, why art? Why are we looking after art? So if I talk about human beings had always a need to communicate. And if you remember when the human beings came into existence, they wanted to communicate, they wanted to show their presence. And how did they do it? They started carving on the stones. They started communicating through paintings. This is how they wanted to express. And when expression is there, art is there. So the basic, we are compelled to express ourselves. We are compelled to express ourselves and our expression is art. So whenever we are talking about art integration means we are expressing ourselves and bringing this to our curriculum is very, very important. This art integration was conceived with NCF 2005, but was not implemented much. It was not implemented much. Then in 2010, NCERT, they started working on this type of curriculum. They took SDMC schools in their surroundings, around 40 schools. And then this art integration, they started with the primary classes and the results were amazing. They found that, the attendance was very high. The children were excited to attend the classes because art integration was bringing joy to them. The learning process had become very, very important for them. They wanted to attend the classes and the whole teaching learning process became very, very enjoyable. So from here, the art integration in our curriculum started, and now with the CBSE circular, that yes, we have to integrate our subjects with art right from class 1 to class 12, and then again focus on arts on NEP 2020. I think it is a very important tool which we cannot miss in any of our situations. So today we have Bhumika with us, who is a person from National Institute of Fashion Technology. And what we are thinking we will be doing in NEP 2020, I think their college has already started because they have a lot of integration of art with their curriculum. They're talking a lot about storytelling. They're talking a lot about design thinking, and they're actually blending the two things very beautifully. So that was the reason I invited her, and I'm really thankful she is with me today. And now Bhumika will tell how art is important for us. So over to you, Bhumika.
Thank you, Ritika ma'am. First of all, I want to convey this message to the viewers that I hope that you all are safe and sound and you're with your family members. Secondly, I would like to thank Ritika ma'am for inviting me here on this live session and to let me share my views and thoughts on this very fantastic topic. So, art integration. I will I will let you know a phrase. Art is a language. How? If you know about Ajanta Ellora caves, those were the earliest art forms found in India in the form of cave paintings, 5th century. Coming to the north, to Jammu and Kashmir, monasteries of 5th centuries have also essence of these cave paintings. What does that mean? We cannot meet the people who were present in the ancient India, but we know about them. Art is the only medium we have. Art is not just limited to the virtual aspect or the creativity. It is something else. After becoming an integral part, I would say, of National Institute of Fashion Technology, in our foundation year, we just studied about the history of art and how can we apply small art forms into our day-to-day life to solve basic problems. Why it is very important? It helps to think us critically. Now I will state one more example for modern world. All of us watch movies, all of us watch videos on YouTube, all of us listen to music, all of us listen to podcasts. These are also some kinds of art forms, and we never tend to forget the stories, we never tend to forget the songs, we never tend to forget the lyrics. Why? Because we connect with that. We have a different connection with the art forms present in this civilization. I think this is one of the most important aspect that should be added in the education system. It will also help students to increase their confidence and problem solving abilities. I think to know more about the curriculum would be appropriate right now. So I will be handling this to Ritika ma'am. She knows better.
Yeah, thanks, Bhumika, for giving me such insights about art. And frankly speaking, this has been scientifically proven that when we use any kind of art form, that actually enhances our skills. If I talk about Albert Einstein, I mean, people, if they are not even from science background, everybody knows he was a great scientist. He used to play violin. And what was the reason? He said, whenever I played violin, it sharpened my mind. That means art has some impact on the brain, some impact on the brain, and live example was there. Einstein was there. So I think we really need to take in art integration in our curriculum because we don't want students who are just doing rote learning. We don't want students who are just mugging up the syllabus and then vomiting it out in a 3 hour exam. What is the fun? End of the day, they are not actually applying their knowledge. And how that application will come, how that holistic growth will come, that will be through art. I just wanted to share one thing with you. Maybe you people have heard of PISA, PISA. That's an international agency which has assessment for students. And out of 74 countries, when India appeared, I'm sorry to say, we had 73rd position, just ahead of Kazakhstan. The problem was problem solving. They were given questions that had to be related with the real life aspects, and students could not do it. They were not able to solve. Where is the problem? Some problem in our education system, some problem in our traditional ways of teaching. And I think we need to change them. We need to bring in such a curriculum where art integration can actually help the students to experience the thing, to relate the thing, and bring it to a level that they can understand and apply the concepts to the real life situations. That is the need of the hour. That is required. And for these, we have to use some tools. So we will be talking about various tools, because when I talk about art integration can be in the form of visual art, it could be in the form of performing art, it could be even in the form of culinary art. So there are various ways. We will be talking about one after the other. But yes, one important thing which we have to keep in mind is storytelling. Storytelling is very, very important these days, because narrations and stories help a student to imbibe the concepts very easily. Anything which is told in the form of a story, that becomes easier for a child to grasp, to retain, and to understand, because it has a scientific reason behind it. There's something called as neurocoupling. Neurocoupling is a situation where when a child hears a story, he starts experiencing it. He starts relating it with him. And then there are certain hormones which are called as dopamines. Those hormones are released. Now, what happens? When these hormones are released, a child can understand the things better. Becomes easier for them to understand. And that understanding helps them to retain it for a longer period of time. You remember, I mean, if you people watch a movie, you remember the story for a longer period of time. So why not use storytelling in our curriculum? In social sciences, in sciences, in mathematics, if we bring stories for our children, they will understand it better. And I think storytelling is a very, very important aspect. And I hand over to Bhumika regarding storytelling. She will tell how stories, small stories, can actually make a difference in learning process. So over to you, Bhumika.
Thank you, ma'am. So, as I also stressed upon earlier, that how movies and stories play a vital role when it comes to test your memory. So, in NIFT, we have this subject called as storytelling. So, earlier I wasn't too interested in the subject, but now I'm pretty much into this. So, I will tell you a very small story. I will narrate a very small story. My morning starts with a cranky call by you. What's your problem? What do you want? Am I not important for you? I store food for you. When esophagus throws that on me, hold it for almost 2 hours or longer. I mix everything inside me, whatever you eat. Do you even know how much I go through because of the contractions and the relaxations of your muscles? I don't care, stomach. Come on. I secrete acid and enzymes for your food. Why don't you eat in the morning? Stomach, I have to go to the school. So just now, um, I presented a very small story between a child and his own stomach. And almost 65% of Indian kids don't have breakfast in the morning before going to the school. If you guys know about the present scenario, globally, from a batch of 7 kids, there's always one kid who is hungry. With these kind of stories, you can let your students know the importance of food. Why should we have food in the morning? Because the glycogen levels are higher, and you should eat something because you slept for 8 hours. Your body was on a fast. And also, you can let them know that what is the value of food. Through this exercise, students will also empathize with the people who are not able to get food. There are a lot of organizations which provide food to them. Schools can have a tie-up. This will help students to feel the way these people think, to empathize with them, to solve a problem. I think this is the best example I could give you. And Ritika ma'am also have a podcast on Spotify where she narrates stories related to chemistry. I mean, it's not a difficult task to do. In every subject, you can add such activities. And Ritika ma'am has a very interesting story for you guys. So stay tuned. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Bhumika. Actually, very true. This is a truth that stories are really interesting, and that's why my podcast says chemistry stories. Because even in chemistry, class 12th, 11th, I am making small stories for my children to learn and understand and hear it, and they enjoy that. I mean, I got a very good response. So, stories are actually very interesting. And sometimes many computer science teachers they talk to me, hey, how can we integrate art in our subject? So you have beautiful examples from science, from social science. Tell your children to make small stories on computers. They can use graphics, they can use any other tools to bring those small stories. They can make games out of those stories, and they will wonderfully enjoy those stories. So that is very, very important. Storytelling is very important. We as teachers need to start this. And as early we start, we'll see our children will enjoy. So storytelling has to be brought up. And once we start, giving such kind of instructions to our children through storytelling, they will also enjoy this kind. And one more example I'll tell you. There was a child who saw a graphic representation of photosynthesis. Now, in photosynthesis, the plant was compared to a cook who was preparing his food. So, what was happening? The child was relating how plants are preparing food and the cook is preparing food. So, that comparison through graphics, through story, brought the details that yes, plants are also preparing food. So, photosynthesis became very, very interesting for them. Otherwise, if we teach them in the usual way, they don't understand. But when we bring such stories into that, they can relate and they will never forget. Okay, for mama, the raw material is dal and chawal and roti and all that stuff. And for the plants, what are the raw materials? What are they using? Are they using carbon dioxide or they're using water? And what is important? Okay, sunlight is important, chlorophyll is important. So child starts relating. And when a child starts relating through the stories, it becomes easier for them to retain and to apply. So I think storytelling is very, very important. The second thing is that if I talk about the model of art integrated pedagogy, what we have to do is that we have to select a topic, then we have to provide a hands-on activity, then we have to see that whatever we wanted to convey through our art integrated learning is the child is coming out with those learning outcomes, because end of the day we are not talking about how beautifully a child can draw or how beautifully a sculpture can be made. The child should enjoy the process, not the product. Even if the child has not drawn very well, it's okay. But if the child has learned through that process, your learning outcome is clear. I think we are done with it. So we have to see that the process has to be joyful. And for such joyful processes, we need to put some ice breaking activities. I'll just tell you in a form of a story, although it's a truth. There is a small village in Gujarat, a remote area, and a teacher was there. She wanted to teach her students. So she didn't had much resources. She didn't had much things to give to her children. So I'm just telling you how art integration can be brought up with the things which are around us. She took some clay and gave her to her students, and she told them to start making tooth. Now, children were like small children, they were fascinated. Okay, we will be making tooth. Now, you can't see your own teeth. So she told that you can see your friend's teeth and then you can make one model of a tooth. And those with small little hands, they started making teeth. And then one child, what he did, he started painting it black. And the teacher was like, why are you painting it black? So the child said that one of my friend is having a black teeth. And the whole class started looking at him. And from there, the teacher asked, "What's the reason why his teeth has turned black?" And the students started brainstorming. They started giving reasons. Maybe he is not having a proper brushing process. Maybe he's having too many of sweets. Maybe some other reasons. And from there, the teacher started about dental hygiene. She started about type of teeth. What that means, it means that if you don't have the resources around, you can pick something and start with your art integration. And what the CBSE circular also says, that we are not supposed to put financial burden on parents or students. So from those resources, and believe me, for their whole life, children will not forget to brush their teeth twice because they have learned it at such a level and through such a way. So this is how art integration can be brought into our curriculum. Similarly, there are certain ice-breaking activities which teachers usually perform. Let me give you one example. Like there was a teacher who wanted to teach something and she came to class and she said, okay, so we'll try to create sounds produced by rain. And she took just one finger and she said, we'll clap like this. Then she said, we'll clap like this, we'll clap like this. And through this, she wanted to show that how rain is there. Now, all the children physically, they were there. Now, mentally, they were brought into the classroom because something related to rain was about to start in the class. Now, if she was a Hindi teacher, she could have started from some chapter from Vasant, from class 8th or 9th, talking about Megh or Pani. If she is a science teacher, she will talk about water cycle. If she is a social science teacher, maybe she'll talk about floods and drought. But the whole attention has been brought to rains. She asked children, do you like rains? Do you love rains? There were mixed reactions. Some people liked, some people didn't like. So she got the mental view of the kids. And this is how she introduced the chapter and then she started with the chapter. So such ice-breaking activities are very much required when we are talking about art integration. So whenever we are pursuing, we have to think that yes, some ice-breaking activity has to be there so that the students are brought in the class. Now, another important tool after storytelling is visual art. Now, visual art is, it could be posters, it could be sketches, it could be even from computer designs, it could be graphics, sketches, anything. And visuals are like, when you see something, you remember for a longer period of time. That's scientifically proven. So with small kids also, parents can actually do such activities. It's just not the duty of the teacher or the head of the institutions to bring art integration. I think as parents also, we have responsibility. Means if you have small kids, you just go to the park or you are in the room, tell the child, observe what is around you and draw. And give them 1 minute to observe, 2 minutes to draw, and tell them maximum number of objects that they can draw. And when these people are, doing such activities, what will happen? We are not concerned how beautifully a child is drawing whatever is around him. We are concerned what are his observational skills, how well the child is observing around the environment. And then, if a child has made something, you can have a competition. Okay, I could draw 10 objects. How many objects have you drawn? And the child will, okay. And if the drawings are not good, please don't label the child. Next time he will not draw. Please tell him, okay, that's fine, that's good, I can see you have made it beautifully. Always encourage, always appreciate, because appreciation is something which will enhance the mood of the child. If you will start saying negative about the child, next time the child will not be going to do any activity with you as parents or as teachers. So we have to have a positive feedback about everything. And even if there is something negative, the way of conversing and the way of telling it to the child has to be very positive. This thing has to be kept in mind of parents and as well as teachers. So what will happen when such things we are introducing? We are actually promoting scientific temperament. We are introducing observational skills of a child, and it is a wonderful pedagogical tool for deeper learning. So there are various methods. I mean, we can just tell the students to start with rangolis. So Rangoli, you can give excretory system, or Rangoli, you can talk about the solar system. So what will happen? They will not only understand the concept, but they will make something. They will not forget, because these are the subjects where you want them to draw. So instead of drawing, if they're doing it in this way now, festival season is around, such assignments can be given to students even during online classes. Okay, you make a rangoli based on this and click up photograph and send it to me, and then you can assess. And children will enjoy such projects. They will enjoy, because it's just not book that they have to go through it. They will understand, okay, this is the excretory system of human beings. We have to draw like this. And then they will put it in the form of rangoli. They can use a blend of colors and they will come up with beautiful things. So this is how visual art is very, very important. If I talk about maths, now sometimes, there is a confusion how to integrate maths with art. So a beautiful example is Whirly art. Now in Whirly art, all of us know there are triangles. So if we are using those triangles and we are talking about congruence of triangles, or we are talking about symmetry, we can easily relate it with Whirly art. Similarly, in maths, we have a wheel of Theodorus, which can be obtained from Pythagoras theorem. Now, in that also, when a child can draw that wheel, tell him to convert it into some beautiful form. And believe me, they come up with such good examples. I have seen students converting it into a trumpet, or converting it into a snail, or something like that. That's their imagination. Let them imagine, let them come up with something. Give them a free hand to do something. And when in learning processes, such things are inculcated, children will actually enjoy. And this will help them to understand better. So the second thing is photography. Now, photography is also a very, very important tool. And I'll hand it over to Bhumika, because they are having a subject called photography, and how beautifully photography can be used in this process of visual art. So over to you, Bhumika.
One thing I wanted to highlight that very well said, that you should always motivate your child or student, because motivation is another key, because not everyone is comfortable in performing some kind of art forms. If you will say um, this this student does not like dancing, that hesitation inside a kid can only be reduced if you motivate them. So talking about the visual art and photography, we have five senses, of which one is our eyesight. So this is a theory that 70% of an experience which we retain is through our visual sense. That means our eyes. So visual art is also important in that aspect. Talking about photography, Whenever we study that subject, we should be knowing some simple physics, apertures, from where the light is coming, where the shadow should fall if there is an object. So with Ritika ma'am only, we came up with this very interactive exercise where teacher can um, showcase few photographs to the students clicked in the school only. Maybe from different angles the light is coming through. You can go and click the scattered light on a tree or some geometrical projection made by a building's shadow. Let the students analyze that from which direction the light was coming and what might be the aperture. If the photograph is too wide, then the aperture was very large for the daytime. If the light is too dim, then the aperture was really small and light couldn't enter the shutter. After the small exercise, give that batch of few photographs to your students and let them make stories out of it. Tell them to arrange these photographs in a sequence of a story. What this will do, this will also increase their creativity when it comes to storytelling, and this will also help them in retaining the values, in retaining the information they studied in that class. Secondly, we all have periodic tables in our curriculum, chemistry. So there are a lot of elements present in the periodic table having unique atomic numbers, atomic masses, and charge, and properties as well. We can do this exercise of logo making within the students. So while making a logo, the student will look for the right properties of the material. Which color does it signify? What is the atomic number again? Atomic mass, the charge on this element. Tell them to make a logo out of it. That visual identity of a specific element would retain much more as compared to the process of memorizing whole periodic table. And we also know that kids prepare these rap songs for periodic tables, so it's easier for them to retain that too much of information. It's too much information for a child to attain just by reading the textbook. And again, we can let them use this activity best out of waste. They can make pretty models out of plastic bottles or the bottle crowns. And this will also motivate our students to think more about the marine life and environmental flaws which we have these days in our society. And again, if student will empathize, they will be able to solve the problem. This is the key. Empathize equals to the solution. Over to you, ma'am. Now.
Yeah. Thanks, Bhumika. That's wonderful insights you have given about photography and use of mosaic and other forms to learn. And, when we talk of multidisciplinary or we talk of transdisciplinary approaches also, one topic we can begin so many things. I'm just like taking COVID-19. So if I'm taking COVID-19 as a topic, then for a science student, I can give something, okay, what are the medicines that can be used for a maths teacher? The same thing, give some data and tell them to draw bar graphs according to it. For a Hindi or an English teacher, write some positive slogans about it. So what will happen? Students will start doing as an activity on one topic, and that would be a multidisciplinary approach. Maybe in social sciences, you talk about the history of COVID-19. And these assignments can be given in the form of group activities also. So when there are group activities, children talk to each other and the class becomes interactive. So such things can be introduced. Just not performing art, as Bhumika was saying, we have performing art also, role play, drama, and theater. I think these are wonderful things to bring our interactive class. When we are telling students to play role play, or when we are telling students to, come with characters in a drama, their experience will be entirely different. They come into that character, they start enjoying that particular topic because they are a part of that topic. It's very well said that drama brings theory to life. So the theory has been converted to life through drama. And the movement, the gestures, or the facial expressions, they help in knowledge retention. So drama is very, very important. Last week, I had a workshop with Rangbhumi Mumbai where we used science with applied theater. And believe me, not only teachers, but the principals were engaged so well that they started acting. So just imagine if as adults we can enjoy that activity, if the session can become so interactive, why can't we use drama in our classes? Just a very small example I would like to give. As a chemistry teacher, I want to introduce solid, liquids, and gases. So I can divide my class into three. And I can say, okay, some students will behave as solids, some as liquids, and some as gases. And then solids will be, they will not move much. They will just vibrate on their places. Liquids will be given a more area to move around. And gases will be given the whole room to, just move on here and there. So from there, the teacher can tell, see, now they are moving, so they don't have a fixed volume. Solids have a fixed volume and a fixed shape because they are at one point just vibrating. Talk about the density, talk about the compressibility, talk about any other factor. So what happened? When the child is playing that character, they will understand. They will understand the concept. Social sciences है. आप उसको झांसी की रानी बनाइए, आप उसको you make Shivaji, you make give them any character, let them play. And when they will be, using those attires, when they will be using all the things which were used on those ancient times, they will never forget. So they don't need to mug up what was there. Once they are into drama, once they are into role play, they will enjoy the whole thing and they will retain it for a longer period of time. So I think performing art, I mean, it could be in the form of reciting a poem also. Ab dekho chote bachcho ko, they will always remember it as A, B, C, D, E, and they will not remember A and B, C. So that is a poem because poems are easy to remember. तो उसी चीज को जब हम किसी poem की form में दे देते हैं, raps की form में दे देते हैं, the things becomes very, very easy for children to remember. So performing art is a very, very important thing which can be brought into classes and children will thoroughly enjoy this art integration. So the art integrated learning not only makes our classroom transaction joyful and creative, but it actually promotes appreciation of our rich culture, our rich heritage, because we know that India is having a rich cultural panorama. From the mountains of the north to the beaches of the south, or we are talking of the sunny east to the vibrant west, we have diverse. We have different folk songs, we have different kind of food, we have different kind of festivals, we have different crafts. So when we are talking to our students regarding that, what will happen? They will learn about their culture. And once they are, adhering to our culture, they will know much about it because every festival, every folk song, every dance has some story related with it. So they will understand that thing very clearly. I think the CBSE circular which says Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat, where they have done state pairing, that is a very important step because now even, I am from Delhi, so I have started learning about Sikkim. Why? Because that pairing has been done. So we as teachers are also on a learning process because we were not knowing much about Sikkim. Other states have been paired with other things. So this is how a learning process, not only for the students, but for the teachers also is there. And Bhumika will tell how in their college, they are using these crafts and they're using all these things to bring up more laurels. So over to you, Bhumika.
Thank you, ma'am. So talking about performing arts, Ritika ma'am very well said that India is a very diverse country, and every state has their unique kinds of art forms, be it performing art or be it handicrafts. So every art form has its own narrative and stories, if we look into that. In our college, in NIFT, we have this craft cluster initiative where we go on the grassroots level and know about the stories behind these local handicrafts. We empathize with the artisans who are still performing them. We listen to their problems. We work for them. So, what does it do? It made me, so personally, it made me much more aware about the crafts of India, the narratives, and how the craft is dying, how nobody knows about these kind of handicrafts. So these kinds of exercises will help if incorporated in schools, and not just a craft cluster. It can be an old age home as well. Students are visiting old age homes, nearby orphanages or NGOs, and performing there, talking to these people. So the main key here is talking to them, knowing what they are going through, knowing their lifestyle. So this interaction will build a wider world to see for these students. And NIFT also provide workshops to artisans where teachers and students teach artisans how to use technology, like how to use WhatsApp, how to use an email ID, or if somebody is asking for the pictures of your product, how will you send it to them? So today's children are very much into technology. They know everything about it, everything. So why not these kids are doing the same thing? There are a lot of clusters in the nearby areas. Um, a visit can be done. A visit can be done, and as we go on the visits for history and other sociology subjects, we can also do that. And I think crafts is the initiation of art. I think right now it's a need of art that we should also look after our artisans, and this is also a community which is suffering. So uplifting them, and this will also result in the development of your students. This is a kind of symbiotic relationship between an artisan and student. So this is all, and I like Ritika ma'am to conclude the a whole session.
Yes, thank you, Bhumika. That was really wonderful. Yes, actually, when we are talking of even vocational courses, which will be coming in our new education policy, and talking about the skill development, which our Prime Minister is already talking about a lot. I think these kind of initiatives from the institutions would really help, not only adhering our children to the culture, but also uplifting the skills and uplifting the whole economy of our country. So this is a wonderful approach which you people are doing, and I think when we also, start implementing such things in our schools also, this would be a wonderful approach. So what I think is that art integrated learning will help better understanding of the subject. It will aim in developing target areas of socio-emotional, cognitive, psychomotor domains and engage learner to follow interdisciplinary approach in subject learning. So I hope from our session, you people are very much clear about what exactly we talk about art integration. There are various ways. And before concluding, I would just say a very, very happy Teachers' Day, because tomorrow is Teachers' Day. So a very happy Teachers' Day to all of you. And let us start adding these activities in our day-to-day teaching learning process and make our learning and teaching process a very joyful experiential one. Thank you. Thank you so much.